Miami's hot, 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 fire. Miami's hot, 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 fire. Hello. Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner, and we are back for another episode or recap of the Real Housewives of Miami. And this is season 7, episode 2, and it's called Miami. I think Miami Takes on Milan. I think is what it's called. Let me double check. it. And apologies ahead of time for being late for this review. But Miami Takes Milan. But yeah, the reason why I was behind is Juneteenth. I was outside. Juneteenth was fun. I actually went to an African fashion show on Juneteenth and then hung out in Bronzeville and just had me a time. So, yeah, I was delayed on being out and about. But without further ado, let's get into the episode. I'm not going to necessarily go in order this episode because even though a lot happened in this episode, I will say the season premiere was a little bit better than this episode. This one was a little bit of a lull. So it was kind of like it wasn't bad, but it was just, I felt like it was more of a, I forgot what we call those episodes, where not a lot happened, or maybe it's because the plot I'm not 100% interested in, because it has to do with Lisa and Marcia. I don't know, but I like the episode, don't get it twisted, like, Miami, but the bar for Miami is really high for me, because they have been like this. So this is kind of the first episode I was like, it was okay, watchable. I will watch it again. I just didn't love it. If that makes sense. Maybe because there just wasn't enough Gertie. And we're going to get into why. Because there's definitely a reason why. I'm definitely seeing some things. I'm not sure if I'm liking it. But I have some thoughts. And we're going to get into it. We're going to kind of do this similar to how we do Atlanta. Where we talk about the cast. A person in time. And then that way we'll just go from there. So let's get Kiki out of the way. Kiki really this season is giving a lot more still friend of. So they're not really following her along as much yet, which is quite annoying. I want her to have her own scenes soon, and hopefully we'll get that in the future. But this episode, she was just kind of more of a supporting role. She didn't really have she didn't have her own individual scene this episode. Like she was there for, pardon me, Alexia's dinner with her friends, but that's pretty much it. Like she really wasn't around outside of that. And yeah, I didn't really like that, but oh well, that's fine. So that's kind of all that really happened with Kiki. And I'm just going to kind of just move on as we go to each person, and we'll get into the main thing. Because I would say the main issue this episode was definitely Lisa versus Larsa. That was like the plot of this episode. So yeah, anyway. Okay, so then the next person that we'll talk about, let's get Julia out of the way, because you already know I don't see you for Julia, especially this season, because you're coming for Gertie. F you. Respectfully. Not even respectfully, no, just I don't like you. I see where this is going. I see that you want to be part of the cool kids so badly that you're turning on all the people that had your back from day one. You're trying to spin it to a different narrative, but like the others versus you, the others can't be wrong and you be right. That doesn't make any sense. It's you. You're definitely the problem, and I can see it. So now that she's in with basically Marisol and Alexia, she's basically icing out Adriana, so she hasn't really talked to Adriana anymore. And then Gertie, she basically manufactured this whole entire beef, and now she's trying to add more stuff to it, saying that in this episode she added on what she already talked about last episode, which was the whole thing about the adoption thing. And I have more thoughts on that now that I thought about it. As she was texting her and saying, I'm sorry I couldn't tell you, but the news is... You could have told her the news in the text message. But instead, you gave go fetch this. I'm sorry, I'm Team Gertie when it comes to that all day. I am on her side about it, and there's nothing you can say to me is gonna make it different. And then also, she basically called Gertie kind of self-absorbed and making things about her. I can't. I mean, let's be so for real. You have no charisma. You have no personality. When you are someone where the light just shines on you, it's just going to be about you, whether you want it to be about you or not. And Gertie's that girl, so that's just what it is. Don't be mad that she's that girl and you're not. She doesn't need to kiss butt to, be her. She's her. But basically, she called her that after she said she made things about her because Julia. So apparently Martina had a health scare, and so she was supposed to go on this cruise with Martina. So she asked Gertie to go instead. But you lost me when you said that your wife had a health scare and you still went on this trip. That's where you lost me at. After that, I was like, I'm not listening to anything else you have to say because you're so self-absorbed that you still went on a trip when your wife had a health scare. That's where you cancel the trip and you go and check on your wife. And then you guys can reschedule that another time. But whatever. But then she does invite Gertie. And then Gertie's just asking for more details, more information on like what they're doing together because now they're supposed to be doing this trip together. But yes, she has Gertie sitting somewhere else. And apparently, I'm just like, yo, what is that? And I don't really mess with that. And then I guess the other ladies really more or less Alexia is like, yeah, I don't know what's going on with Gertie either. I'm like, I guess for me, what's kind of giving me pause is, did they forget that she just got done fighting breast cancer? And they're that self-absorbed, or they're not going to check on their friend. And even if they're not really necessarily the best of friends, you're not going to check up on her to figure out what's going on with her. And then no storyline to be seeing Julia. You're going to just decide you're going to basically make a problem that where there is none, just so that you can stay on this show. And the way it's giving, you and your wife don't seem like you really like your wife at all. But you know your wife's the reason why you're even on this show. Because you have no plot line in sight. None. Child. Yeah. I'm done talking about Julia, but that's how I feel about Julia. She's right now being there for Alexia, but all the ladies are overall because Alexia is going through some things with this divorce. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But let's next talk about Gertie and what is going on with her and why this lack of a beef doesn't really matter to her in her world, and it shouldn't. Okay, while Julia's searching for a storyline, Gertie actually has her real life. Sorry, not sorry. And so she's at a consultation, possibly looking into getting plastic surgery one more time to fix her breast because she had to go through breast reconstructive surgery because between her having implants and her having the cancer and them having to do surgery and the weight gain and the way her body has changed, it kind of disfigured her boobs. So she's trying to get them redone so that they look natural. And she basically went from like a double D to now she's going to be like a big B. And she is kind of being a perfectionist about it. And Russell, her husband, her amazing husband's just like, if you want to do it again, you can, but like, when's enough? Because every time she goes through surgery, she has to be bedridden basically, and it's a lot of pain. And you could tell that, yes. So the way it sounds like this is cosmetic. It is, but it isn't, because she's just trying to find herself again. Because what is not spoken about, and I love that Gertie's like a representative of like explaining that, is when cancer happens and all the things that your body goes through to try to fight it, And then even especially in her case, she had to get surgically taken out. That is a lot of having to readjust things. And also too, I'm assuming before all this happened, she was going to the gym and all that regularly. And the fact that she's constantly doing all this surgery, she probably doesn't have the muscle mass she used to. Like, everything about her body is probably completely different right now. And she probably feels like a foreigner within her own skin. And that is just a scary place to be in. And I feel like that is something that, if anything, she's speaking to that. And I love that she is a real storyline and she's really just sharing this with us. But I don't know what she ended up doing on the show, but I really hope she didn't, if she did do it, hopefully she's done. But I honestly, just looking at her, I know only she could be comfortable with herself. She looks good. She looks good. Like that last episode, even though her wig was a mess, that body was tea. Okay? And you basically almost had nothing on and that body was tea. So, Gertie, whatever you need to do to make yourself happy, I'm for it. But you look good, girl. And ignore the noise that has no storyline to be in sight. You know what? Before I even went into this review, I should have just had Gertie get behind me. I got you. Who I need to fight? It is giving that. I know that. I'll be fully transparent. It's definitely giving that. But let's next talk about Adriana. So Adriana and this French man. Adriana does look younger. She looks happier. But that French man, I have questions. I don't know if he's interested or not. I don't know. I have some questions, Adriana. But I always have questions when it comes to Adriana. Adriana's always up to something. But really, overall, this episode, they didn't really focus too much on what's going on with Adriana. But basically just talk about her man. And that was it. And then they kind of were gossiping. It was like, it was Adriana, Gertie, and maybe it was Lisa. I don't remember who else it was, but they were gossiping about what was going on with Alexia and whether she's going to leave that man or not. Basically, everyone's on the same page that she needs to let that man go. He's not a good guy. He's controlling. It's not working. But I have a theory of what's going on with Alexia, and I hope it seems like that's what's happening. And it's weird because it seems like she has moments where she's strong, but then when that guy just slithers back in, she's weak. And I don't know. I don't know how that feels being older. I feel like I was like that when I was younger, but not older. But I think there's something going on with that. I think I even mentioned in the last video, I think it has a lot to do with her being older and not being a spring chicken. And maybe she has some insecurities with that. Like, and this was her third failed marriage. And all of her marriages have been like eventfully like bad. Like, stuff that you only could write in a book. Very like a movie type bad. Like her first husband was basically, mafioso, like, part of like, the drug world in, Miami. The second husband, gay, but closeted, and she was like the beard. And then this guy who seemed like he was like Mr. Nice Guy, but sounds like he's a complete narcissist. It's like, I don't know. She does seem like she's a type that loves being in love, but I think she needs to sit down and work on herself to figure out what she needs to do. And I forgot if it was this episode or the sneak peek of the next episode. We had Marisol talking about it, and Marisol mentioned that she did not like the version of Alexia that she is when she's with Todd. And she came off a lot more just mean. And she was a lot nicer when without Todd. And she's like, I want my friend back. I don't want this version of her that's with Todd. So that's kind of everything. So what else with Alexia? Wait, I don't remember. Was I talking about Alexia or was I talking about I think I was talking about Adriana. I went completely off subject. But that's all about Adriana. Let's talk about Marisol and kind of Alexia. Let's just put them together. I mean, they're besties. We'll do it that way. So, next. Okay, so Marisol, we have a lot of things that are happening with her and Steve, her soon-to-be legal husband. We know she's gotten married multiple times on the show, but it hasn't been like legally married. They're actually, next episode, there's a preview of them actually going to get legally married. So happy for her. And we'll go more into that come next episode. But she basically was talking about everything that's going on with Alexia and how she just wants her to be happy. And she wants her to just cut ties with this dude because... And one thing that I will give Julia credit for this episode when they had the dinner, you know, and everything, is that Julia was like, it was a full stop for me when it comes to this man as soon as you said that he did all this in front of Frankie. And I'm like, bingo. When you put the health of, if a person puts the health of your kids in jeopardy because they're a coward, F them. And not keep effing them, but F them as a person. You need to cut ties. And that's where once, honestly, when Julia said that, I feel like with Alexia, that's when it clicked. But we're learning that it's not staying clicked. And that's kind of the problem. But we'll talk more about that when we get more into the Alexia of it all. I guess we can do it right now because really with Marisol, it's just basically her talking about Alexia. And with Alexia, she hung out with, she basically talked more about this with Julia when Julia and her were doing Pilates together. Julia looked crazy doing Pilates. You could tell she don't work out. And then we had the scene where basically all the ladies were invited to this event minus Larsa and Lisa. They were in Milan. That's the main thing we're going to talk about. Adriana, because you already know Alexia and Marisol do not get along with Adriana, so she wasn't going to be there. And then Gertie. So back to what I was going to say. So I have a theory that they are trying to ice out Gertie. Because the fact that she wasn't even invited to this event, and there's no reason behind that other than the fact that Julia is making a fake beef that doesn't really exist. And also, they already got rid of Dr. Nicole. And frankly, I'm not with it. So hopefully, once Stephanie shows up, she has more people on her side. Because right now it's like Gertie and like Kiki's kind of like, you know, she's a friend of, but she actually is treated more like a friend of all the other friend ofs. And then Adriana, who's technically a friend of, but like she gets treated like a full timer because she's one of the OGs. And Lisa, and that's it. And they already are kind of, you know, I don't like that. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I kind of was annoyed by when they said that about Gertie, of like about they said that they didn't want to invite her because they were afraid that she was going to make it about her. I'm like, you only have 2 cast members that will really do that, and they're like in Milan. Gertie's not one of them, respectfully. She really isn't. But whatever. I think also too, she didn't want the conflict between Julia, that Julia's trying to keep going, and Gertie to happen. So I think that's really what it was. But anyway, so then so the dinner though, Alexia cried, she laughed, you know, she basically was extremely vulnerable in this episode about how she feels about things, but also truthful. She's like, dude, he's a narcissist. And she put on the floor that the money was funny. I'm glad she finally told the truth that the money was funny, and Todd was just not happy that so Todd wanted to perceive a fake image of what they got going on, even though they ain't really got nothing going on. Basically, Adriana was right. Okay? In a nutshell, everything that Adriana called last season, she was 1,000% correct. Now the way Adriana called it out, was it malicious? Yeah, but she kind of, I think also with Alexia being so defensive and kind of just being a little mean girlish, I could see why Adriana weaponized it versus trying to like give her advice. And also too, we already know how Adriana is. She's stubborn. Not Adriana, but how Alexia is. She's super stubborn. So Adriana was right. That's pretty much long story less long. And she's with her fashion designer friend who made the appearance last season. And then outside of that was a pretty fun scene. They talked about penises a little bit. And that was pretty much it when it came to this scene. But let's get into the main thing. What we really are here for. And that is Lisa versus Larsa. And my opinion has changed just a little bit. Not too much, but a little bit. I think before I was Team Lisa, and now I'm Team Nobody. And really, I should have probably been Team Nobody from the beginning. But let's get into it. I'll explain why. So, and side note, the fact that these women are going to Milan in the second episode, and Potomac, where do they be going when it comes to their vacations? Bravo, do better. Respectfully, do better. Anyway, so we find out though that Lisa's walking in the fashion show during Milan Fashion Week for this sunglass wear, I believe is what it is. I forgot what exactly the designer's name, but Larsa also has a similar opportunity that she is letting her son Preston take full advantage of. And Preston, of all the kids, minus the girl, because I think her daughter, I don't know if her daughter plays basketball or not. Pretty much everyone else, all the other Pippins play basketball. And I think 2 of them are in the league. So Scottie Pippen Jr., side note, he had a really, really good year last year. Scottie Pippen Jr. had some numbers. He was looking a lot like his dad. But basically, Preston's one of the only ones that isn't playing basketball. He's more of a creative. And so she's trying to basically help him through that and help him do that. And I love that Lisa was like, not you being a stage mom. And she wasn't really lying. Larsa definitely does give stage mom. And yeah, she gives stage mom. But so Lisa, though, she's going to Milan Fashion Week. But as she's doing all this, again, we found out last episode of the season premiere that her dad's not doing very well. It turns out, though, that he ends up going to the ICU while this is happening. But she's like, I'm still going to do this because it's like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And I get why she decided to do it, but at the same time, it's her life. I think the reason why she decided to do it is because she just now got good with her dad. So her relationship with her dad is not like your normal parent relationship. So I don't think her ties are as close as it could be. I think now they're there, but it's kind of one of those things where it's just like, Child, the way my mics are just like not working out for me the way I want them to work out for me. I'm going to try to just use a mic that's on my camera versus using a separate one, see if that works. If it doesn't, I apologize ahead of time, but I want to get this review done. Because I'm not doing any more reviews until Thursday, so we got to get it done. But back to what I was saying. I think, though, Lisa's conflicted on what to do, but I think we need to be mindful and remember the fact that Lisa now is a lot more on her own these days of making her own money, making her own income. So, and this is her way of getting back into the fashion, like the modeling industry, as she was doing when she was younger. So she's taking advantage of the opportunity. And I think honestly, if her dad knew what she was doing, I feel like he would say to do the same thing. So she went ahead and did that, and the producer is being shady as all get out because they're also walking for the same designer. So Larsa and Lisa have the same flight to go to Milan, and then they have the same pickup vehicle to get to the event, and they have to be in the same car. and they're not getting along. Now, while Lisa was trying to take the high road, especially the fact that Preston was in the car, Preston is a young adult, by the way. I think he's like maybe like 19 or something. Like he's in his teens, but I think he's in his later teens. So he's, them getting into it is not horrible, but it's also still just not a good look. And so Lisa was trying not to get into things too much, but Larsa just could not let things go and just kept going for the jugular and just kept being... The thing with Larsa is, arguing with her, she takes it to hell every time. There's no not taking it to hell. And she has no filter of like nicely saying, okay, if your dad's having the health issues, then why are you like, she's like, if he's having the health issues, why are you here then? Why are you here? Like, that's her. It's just like, oh my God. And you could tell Preston is like, oh my God. Oh, my mom. Yikes. And even later on, when Larsa asks Preston if she handled things well, Preston's like, no. You did not do that right. No, you didn't. But Larsa knew the answer to that. Let's be so for real. But she also kind of didn't because she's delusional. So, which is why she's such a good villain, because she just doesn't care. She's very delusional. And at the end of the day, Lisa, both of them are self-absorbed. It's just Lisa is a little bit more poised when it comes to her self-absorbedness. So there's a little bit more of a likability when it comes to Lisa. So I think that's partially the reason why it's easier for me to take Lisa's side on things, even though I think they're both wrong, because Larsa just goes to hell every single time. But now I'm seeing things a little bit more. I feel like I should have held my opinion and saw how this plays out more. And I think they're both wrong, because even the fact that Larsa won't apologize for bringing Jody into it, which really, her beef really is with Jody. It isn't really with Lisa. It should really be with Jody, because Jody's the one who's still hanging out with your ex, not Lisa. Lisa's trying not to, but Lisa just happens to be dating someone who is still hanging out with your ex. And I know there were some allegations about what they're talking about the season premiere episode, especially when it comes to Marcus's extracurriculars of loving the snow bunnies. Or wait, I forgot. We're calling it AC. We're still calling it the AC. Allegedly. Yeah, this episode didn't help beat those allegations, because the way Jody just did not have the words to really defend himself of why he's still hanging out with Marcus. And I'm like, what do y'all have in common other than possibly some extracurricular activities? Because I feel like Marcus is not that interesting enough to where you want to hang out with him for real. What is interesting about Marcus? Other than him being an entitled rich kid that has money to blow to do that. Anyway, so that's where I'm like, Larsa might be right. Her delivery is horrible, but she might be right. And also, too, Larsa does have a point about Lisa. Lisa is going to choose a man over her friends. That is literally, Lisa chose a man over her family. If you put it into perspective, we can't forget she literally chose a man over her family. She chose Lenny over her whole entire family. She didn't talk to her family for years because of Lenny. So we know how she's kind of built. So Larsa, to a certain degree, might be right, but at the same time, what I think Lisa's right about is, I can't control my man, number one. And number two, y'all make up and break up every 5 seconds. How am I supposed to know this is the real deal? I'm not in your life enough to be paying attention to what you got going on. And so that's what we're finding out also, is like, yo, I don't have an Ike. But Lisa's self-absorbed. But the thing is, it's a battle of two self-absorbed women arguing with each other. So it's entertaining to a certain degree, but respectfully, I hope this whole season is about this, because it's kind of getting old already. Because both of them, Larsa's not likable. We already know Larsa's not really likable, but Lisa gets to the point to a certain degree where she becomes not likable too. So yeah. But basically, they did put their pride aside to a certain degree, but Larsa was being petty the whole entire time. She made the fashion show all about her, even though her son was walking in it. So that's kind of why I'm just like, girl, you be having some good points, but then you just show how self-absorbed you also are. So it doesn't, it's like y'all are canceling each other out with how selfish you guys both are as people. And so it's like two sides of the same coin arguing about. That's kind of how I see it. It's just Lisa's a little bit more likable. So basically Larsa jokes about wanting to trip her when she's walking. She ends up doing a great job. So did Preston. So Larsa, of course, is like a proud mom when Preston's doing his walkthrough. And then right when Lisa starts doing her walkthroughs, when she's doing a selfie and trying to make it about her and trying to like make it where the eyes are on her instead. And Lisa pulls a stunt and like does a little to her just to kind of make her mad. And I'm like, y'all petty on petty. It's like petty on petty. And so after the show, they do go to this after party. And it's funny because you could tell they still have love for each other, even though they both went to the jugular when it came to disrespect when they went back and forth. And I think that's another thing too. Lisa was just trying to explain to her, like, the way you approach things is just always disrespectful. Like, you be having the point, but you just go to hell every time. But Larsa will not let people talk. When she has the floor, she's like, ah, like she won't let you talk. And so that's also probably why Jody couldn't even get his point across. There's no getting your point across when Larsa's doing all this. It just isn't. So then Fabulous towards the end of the episode was there, the rapper. F-O-B-O, you do. I was kind of confused why he was there, but whatever. Especially with some of his alleged allegations back in the day. But whatever, neither here nor there. But he was there, and they both. He of course starts asking what they got going on with the Housewives of it all. I'm like, okay, you were planted here. You kind of have an idea what's going on, and so, but Fabulous actually, I feel like he took Lisa's side. But Larsa, her delusional mind, thinks that he took Larsa's side. I'm like, no, he took Lisa's side. And anyway, that's kind of where it ended, though. They just kind of went back and forth, and that's how it ended. And maybe that's kind of why this episode is just okay. I didn't love it because Larsa's annoying. And Larsa's exhausting. And the only time I like it when it's a versus Larsa situation, I need someone who can actually clap back at her very well. Like Gertie had her number. I think even Adriana be having her number. Lisa just isn't as quick with it when it comes to her words, so it just doesn't work as well. But whatever, we'll see what happens. But that does conclude the review. Please like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you get anything out of the content. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Milan Nostalgic Runner. And I will see you next time. Bye.